Hey, Christy.
Hey, Edith.
The politician said, I declare April as Sexual Assault Awareness Month. Well, his aide said, so what do you think are some good ways to prevent it? The politician said, prevent it?
Oh,
That's a good joke.
Yes, it is.
That's a really
Unfortunately, the good ones ring true, don't they?
Yes, they do.
Hi, I'm Christy.
And I'm Edith. We're backyard gardeners from Colorado.
And neighbors.
And friends.
These days, gardening has gotten very popular.
And we've noticed more and more people picking our brains for tips and troubleshooting about gardening.
We're not experts. We just learned a lot about gardening from the mistakes we made along the way.
So welcome to Upside Down Tulips,
a fun podcast that celebrates gardening gone wrong.
Upside Down Tulips.
Hi, everybody.
Hello, everybody.
Hi, Christy over there.
Hi, Edith over there.
How you doing?
You know, I just was so looking forward to today when I could talk about my garden with my friend in front of a bunch of people.
Yeah, and the sun was shining all day.
Beautiful week.
Beautiful day. Absolutely beautiful.
Might snow next week, but I don't care. It can snow in April.
Whether we care or not, it's going to do what it wants. So why not embrace it?
Yeah.
Right?
That's totally fine with me. It is still National Garden Month.
Christy, could I say something here?
Mm-hmm.
So, do you know that National Garden Month is shared with 54 other things that share this month?
I'm not surprised.
I looked it up. Can I tell you some of them?
Yeah, I would love to hear them.
It's also Alcohol Awareness Month.
Good idea.
For those of us that are not aware of the wonderfulness of alcohol. Hello, alcohol!
Especially since quarantine.
It's also Irritable Bowel Syndrome Awareness Month.
Oh, yes.
Now, see, that's important.
It is. We should bring awareness to that.
And I'm aware of it now. Get this. It is National Fresh Celery Month. Celery had the whole month of March.
You have got to be kidding me.
I am not kidding. It's number 27 on the list.
Celery must have some amazing lobbyists.
I swear to God. Yeah, and I guess last month was old celery, when it gets like rubbery and bendy.
I have that in my refrigerator right now.
Well, it's not its month. Okay, that was last month. It's also, get this, National Straw Hat Month. A straw hat gets a whole month. Maybe an afternoon would suffice, but no.
A whole month for a straw hat.
And for sure, it is Sexual Assault Awareness Month.
That's important.
That is very important. And that is what we share with Garden Month.
Well, can I tell you this, Edith?
Please tell me.
Is that on the 14th is National Garden Day.
Okay.
And on the 16th, it's Orchid Day.
Uh-huh.
On the 17th, it's National Bat Appreciation Day.
As in baseball or
flying?
The flying bat.
Yes.
Okay.
Good to clarify that. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And on the 19th, it's National Garlic Day.
Okay. Very good.
So now we feel up to date on all that.
We do, and I'm going to get my celebrations and parties all scheduled.
All the cards we have to send out.
Oh my gosh, so much.
Oh, I love sending out Garlic Day cards.
I do too. Irritable Bowel Syndrome. Now, that's a card that's hard to find.
Yes.
But I will look or make my own.
And a party that's not that fun to go to.
Oh, so true.
So, hey, let's thank one of our members of our garden party.
Oh, I think we should thank one of my sisters.
Thank you, Norris M., for being a member of our garden party. That means that Norris is a patron. She provides a couple bucks a month to support Upside Down Tulips to help us continue to do this podcast. And if anybody else wants to support us, if you ever think, you know what, those gals, they're fun. They teach me a thing or two. I sure would love to buy them a cup of coffee or a glass of wine. You can do it in form of being a patron. just look at the show notes and you could see a link and how you can become a member of our garden party.
Yeah. In fact, as it's National Alcohol Awareness Month,
Yes.
maybe they could put some money in and say, you have to drink with this money. And we'd go, okay.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
Okay. If you insist.
Don't pay the bills.
We'll just drink.
And also, if you remember the garden party, you will get some fun rewards, like
Yes.
having your name mentioned on our podcast.
That was fun.
Or you can get some fun merchandise,
Yes.
of which we have a new design of merchandise now.
This is cool looking. Very cool. Very macho. Very wonderful. And by macho, I mean for both sexes. I'm not trying to be, never mind. Go ahead.
You know, Edith, I love it when you sort of like go on a track and I'm there and I'm with you. And then all of a
I
sudden
lose it. I just
it's
like,
goes away.
I don't know where I'm going now.
It was there and it's ephemeral, isn't it?
It is. It just goes away.
Well, anyway, our new merch is a t-shirt that says, when in doubt,
Mulch it.
so if you like mulch, who doesn't like mulch?
Really. I'm surprised it doesn't have its own month or season.
Yeah. You can get a mulch it t-shirt, mug, tote. You could find that link down below in the show notes.
Excellent.
So,
Hey,
Edith,
Yes.
how's your garden going?
Christy, things are starting to pop up. Not a lot because it's not been really, really warm. But I have been weeding and very, very happily walking around looking at stuff every single day. I have so many cauliflower now in my winter sown.
Uh-huh.
So many. So I'm excited about that. And also, in 2018, researchers from ETH Zurich, which is a public research university, and the University of Hawaii spread 30 dump trucks worth of coffee pulp over a roughly 100 by 130 foot area of degraded land in Costa Rica. The experiment took place on a former coffee farm that underwent rapid deforestation in the 1950s. They spread it, Christy, 3 foot thick. Another plot of land they left alone, like, how scientists do to compare.
Uh-huh.
The results were dramatic. The area treated with a thick layer of coffee pulp turned into a small forest in only 2 years, while the control plot remained dominated by non-native pasture grasses.
Amazing.
In just 2 years, the area treated with coffee pulp had a 80% canopy cover compared to just 20% of the control area.
That's cool.
That's like, just how easy is that? It's a byproduct anyway. They just dumped it on there. And folks, you can do that at home if
Yes.
you're a coffee drinker, or even tea. Even tea.
And you can stop by your local coffee shop.
That's right.
And a lot of times they'll wrap up the coffee grounds.
You can put it in the ground. You can put it on top of the ground. It's good for your soil.
I put it in my compost pile.
I put it around my roses.
Wonderful.
That's all my good news.
Well, I have quite a few things blooming.
Oh, good. What do you have blooming?
The daffodils are blooming in my yard.
Oh, nice.
I just love them.
They're the happiest.
And I have tulips blooming.
Mine are not blooming yet. Oh, good for you. Are they on the south side?
Yep, these are the ones on the south side. And they're a beautiful dark pink tulip. They're so beautiful. Afterwards, I'll go show them to you.
Okay.
After we're done potting. And I have hyacinths that are blooming.
Those are the purple ones, right? The little purples?
Not necessarily purple. Well, grape
or pink. I've seen them pink. Grape
Yeah.
hyacinth. Okay.
Grape hyacinths are the ones that look like the little popsicles. These are just the regular hyacinths, and they come in all sorts of colors. I have purple and pink and coral and white and blue, and
Oh, that's nice. That's a beautiful. That's
you have to get down on your
palette.
hands and knees so you can smell them. But boy, they are absolutely beautiful.
See, you can lay face first, and you don't need dessert.
Don't need dessert. And I've also started my annual. My nails are starting to look like crap time of year.
Ah, mine too, Christy. My hands are all cracked and stuff.
And I've got all these scratches on my arms and my legs.
Mm-hmm.
Specifically because I'm on a war with quackgrass. And a big clump of quackgrass likes to clump underneath my climbing roses. So I'm
Oh, that's so hard to get out.
in there on my hands and knees trying to pull out this quack grass, and the rose canes are grabbing at me, and I'm all tangled up in them. And one of them, I could just feel it. It reached out, and it caught just the edge of my eye with this huge 1/2-inch thorn. And I just froze there for a second, thinking, how do I get out of this?
So the thorn was in your flesh.
Yes. Just near my eye.
Did you think of moving away?
Well, I was trying to figure out which way to move.
Oh, right.
You know, I zig this way, I do this way. There's more rose canes. I've got my hands full of quack grass. And so what I ended up doing was like slowly backing up and turning my head a little bit so the rose cane would release so I could still have my eyeball.
Oh, please. You need PPE just to go out into the roses.
I do. I also winter sowed, technically I guess it's spring sowing, but I sowed some seeds in more milk jugs. So now I'm up to about 30 milk jugs. For the first time, I winter sowed some different kinds of vegetables. So I winter sowed zucchini, summer squash, broccoli, cauliflower, and for the first time, tomatoes.
Oh, that'll be interesting.
That'll
be interesting.
I did Moneymaker, which is supposed to have a good-sized tomato,
That is
but
a
a
big tomato.
short-growing season.
Uh-huh.
So we'll see what happens with that. And then I winter sowed some herbs. I winter sowed tarragon, savory, marjoram.
Nice. Oh,
These are
my.
expensive herbs when
Are
you
these
buy
not
them.
perennials?
No,
Not even marjoram?
it hasn't been
Or
for me.
thyme?
Oh, I did. Time is.
Did you not say time?
I did not say
I
time.
just made it
Edith.
up.
You
Okay.
were just making that up. I said
I'm
tarragon,
sorry,
savory, and
sorry.
margarine. That's okay.
It's one of those
But
things.
time-
Okay. But I winter sowed zinnias.
Oh, good.
Oh gosh, I hope they grow. I've never grown zinnias and I love them.
They're one of my favorite flowers.
so pretty. So pretty.
And I had a unique story with a pansy.
A story with a pansy?
Yeah, a pansy story.
Okay.
I bought a couple 6-packs of pansies, and I've been hardening them off for the past couple weeks. And by hardening off, folks, it means that we take them from the nice, beautiful, warm nursery where it's so happy, and then I try to get it used to the outside. So I let it out a little bit, bring it in, let it out a little bit, take it in, let it out a little bit,
Wouldn't
take
it be
it in.
nice if we could do that with newborns? Take 'em
Yeah.
out, put them back in. Take 'em out, put them back in.
Like kangaroos do.
Like kangaroos do. So clever. Yeah.
Well, one day I left the 6-pack out overnight and I forgot to bring it back in.
Yeah, and?
And I brought it and it had kind of fried. And I went, that 6-pack is gone.
Yeah.
And what I've done in the past before is I probably would just throw it away, or I might have, I don't know. But I just thought, I'm going to see if I can save this. And so I stuck it in a little tub of water and I waited a couple days. And gosh darn it, Edith,
Really?
it came back to life.
Okay, Christy, so it wasn't frozen. You just let it dry out.
It looked
Or both.
It was floppy and
Floppy
thin.
and thin.
It looked, you know how when your lettuce goes bad?
Yeah.
It looked like that. It looked, when your spinach kind of goes blah in the
Well,
refrigerator.
you brought it back.
Like Lazarus.
Very good.
Like Easter,
Oh,
the Easter
good.
pansies. And so I have put them in the containers out in front, which I always do. I don't know why, but I think it's because when we bought this house, the people that owned it beforehand had pansies out in these pots in the front. And so I just have always done it because I thought it was so beautiful.
Nice. Nice.
So that's what's happening in my garden. And I do have a musing.
Yeah, what's your musing?
Well, I learned something very interesting, that scientists in Singapore are experimenting with plants. And specifically, they've been experimenting with Venus flytraps.
Uh-huh.
And they have created a way for humans to, quote unquote, communicate with plants via a smartphone. They attach a Venus flytrap to a robotic arm and signal the plant via a phone to close on a wire. So you know how a Venus flytrap has that big mouth, you know what I mean? And it
Yeah.
closes in on a bug.
Yeah.
They've figured out that a Venus flytrap can close on a wire. The flytrap behaves like a robot, which can be controlled electronically by humans. And this electrode can be considered a plant whisperer, which can sense if a plant is in distress when plants emit abnormal electrical signals, and it can be a living sensor in factories and industrial areas. Like if there's a toxic chemical leak, the plants will sense the trouble and their signals may turn abnormal.
And it can sense that. This electrode
That's
can
what
sense
people
that?
in Singapore are experimenting with plant robots.
Wow.
Which kind of freaks me out.
Wow. That's really kind of cool, though. I like that.
Yeah, until they take over.
Well, to get in line. That's all I have to say to them. Get in line. And welcome to it.
Okay, folks. Well, if you ever hear words or terms you're not familiar with, or you want a good laugh, check out the Upside Down Dictionary on our website, and you can just click on the link in our show notes.
There are all kinds of things on our, Facebook, Instagram, and Pinterest. Pictures, inspirations, jokes. We have blogs, too, and a YouTube channel.
And you can sign up for our newsletter for updates, jokes, funny garden signs, and all that jazz.
Etc. Very good.
Upside Down Tulips is brought to you by mulch. When you have a challenge in the garden, the best rule of thumb is always, when in doubt, mulch it. Want to control weeds? Mulch it. Want to retain moisture? Mulch it. Want to prevent disease from splashing up on your plants? Mulch it. But did you know mulch might help with so many other conundrums in your life?
How should I style my hair?
When in doubt, mulch it.
I look great. Oh dear. How can I streamline all this email?
When in doubt, mulch it.
Yes. What a relief. Now, what should I do with all these love letters from my exes?
When in doubt, mulch it.
Oh, I feel so much better. I wonder which Upside Down Tulips t-shirt should I put on?
What do you think?
When in doubt, mulch it?
You got it. So whether it's pebbles, pine needles, straw, compost, or wood chips, when in doubt, mulch it. And check out the When in Doubt Mulch It merch at UpsideDownTulips.com. All right, today we're talking about container gardening.
Yep, container gardening.
And container gardening can be inside or outside, but we're going to focus today on
outside.
Outside. And one of the things I love about this is that as long as you have a little bit of balcony or a little porch or a little
just a
deck,
or a stoop. I like that word.
Stoop.
A stoop. Yeah.
You can have a little container garden.
Yes. Absolutely.
And what can you put in a container for container gardening? Well, you can do flowers, herbs, vegetables. You can do anything. So should we start with flowers?
Sure. Yeah.
Okay. So in container gardening, they say a good container for flowers has a thriller, a filler, and a spiller.
Okay.
A thriller is going to be something tall in the middle.
You're talking about making a really beautiful arrangement in the container. Oh, okay.
A spiller will be something that falls over. And then a filler is things you put in the middle to fill everything up. Yeah. Most common people do annuals.
Yeah.
So this is where the granddaddy of container gardenings are petunias. They're great fillers. Marigolds, begonias, impatiens, sedums. For spillers, boy, I love sweet potato vine.
That's a beautiful vine. Beautiful green color. Really cheerful green, nice, and very hardy as well.
That's so true.
Yeah, not at all finicky or anything like that.
Sometimes at the end of the season, I actually see a potato in the bottom of the pot.
Are you serious?
Yeah, and not one I think you want to eat.
Okay.
But it looks kind of weird.
Oh, that's interesting.
And you can also put perennials in pots. For example, I put geraniums.
I do too, and I bring them in the wintertime.
And then I accidentally leave mine in the garage and kill them, like I did this year.
Let's just say you put them to sleep forever. We don't use the word the kill. We don't need that word.
I killed them.
Okay,
I'm going to take responsibility for it.
You did.
I'm going to take it.
You know, the other day you said something about mint. You had chocolate and orange mint. Did you put them in containers or did you put them in the ground?
In the ground.
Because, they are roamers, man. They like to...
I gave them room to spread.
Okay, good. But that's a really good thing. If you don't have a lot of land, that's a really good thing to put in a container to keep them in one place.
Absolutely.
All the mints can go crazy on you.
Other perennials that work great in containers are chrysanthemums.
Yes.
Also lavender. A lot of people put lavender in containers.
Oh.
Bleeding heart and hydrangeas. Do I dare try it this year, Edith?
Yeah, go ahead. You have to now that you said it. Now you have to.
I have to try hydrangeas in a container since it won't grow in my soil. They say that sometimes perennials will do better in the pot than they will in your soil because it allows gardeners to grow things that won't normally grow in their soil or climate.
Because the actual medium that you buy or make yourself is a potting mix. So it's specifically for that, right?
Yeah.
It's not too much clay. It's not too much acid.
So consider, and also if you just figure, I don't mind buying, if the perennial dies, I don't mind buying it again this next year. What the heck, what's wrong with that? If you want to buy another perennial, if it doesn't make it, if you just want to enjoy it for the summer.
So if you would put like lavender in a pot, would you bring it in the house or?
I would try it.
Try it, right?
Yeah, see what happens.
If you live in a warmer space, you can probably leave it out there all year round.
Wouldn't that be nice?
Oh, yeah.
Zone 7.
Zone 7.
That's the best zone. We're Zone 5B, people.
Yeah.
You should consider if you're going to put perennials in a pot, you should use a bigger pot than you would for annuals. And you may have to transplant it every 2 years.
Yeah, and because they have the longer roots.
Yeah.
So they really need some space in there. Yeah.
Now, herbs, you can grow any kind of herb in a container, don't you think, Edith?
I think so, yeah.
I usually do basil. And I might even put this tarragon, marjoram, and celery that I just winter sowed. I might put those in a pot too.
If you get a big enough pot, you could have an herb pot. How beautiful would that be?
Wouldn't that be great?
That'd be beautiful.
You should be careful that if you're mixing herbs in the same pot, that you're using plants with similar growing requirements.
Yes.
So, for example, oregano, thyme, rosemary, basil, they like to dry out between watering. But chive, parsley, marjoram, and mint need to have consistent moisture.
Yeah.
So put those in a container. Or you could water them from underneath.
And then they suck up whatever they need.
Yeah. Don't fertilize them, though.
Why not?
You'll get a lot of bushy herbs, but you'll lose some of the oils.
Okay.
And so it won't be as tasty.
Because really, the fertilizer usually already comes in the soil that you
That's true too.
You get, right?
Yeah.
So you don't need to overdo it.
Yeah, with herbs.
With herbs.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good.
What kind of veggies do you like to put in containers?
Well, you can I personally put like usually a cherry tomato in a container. You can put anything in a container.
Isn't that interesting? I never knew that before.
Yeah.
I thought you could only put tomatoes in, but really you can put any vegetable, almost any vegetable, as long as you get a variety that will say that's smaller.
Or you get a container that's big enough. For example, and let me read some of these. I won't read them all because we're going to put this on our website. But for example, say you want snap beans, right? You want to put them in a container? A 5-gallon window box.
Oh, great.
Yep. And then we're also going to write the varieties that you can grow well in there. Broccoli, a 5-gallon pot. Eggplant, 5-gallon pot. Peppers, you just need a 2-gallon pot. Or you can do 5 plants in a 15-gallon tub.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, you can do. Wouldn't that be pretty?
Yeah.
All different kind of peppers in one big tub. Yeah. So you can do. Plus, if you go to your seed catalogs, they have now bred 4 containers, like Tom Thumb lettuce, which it only grows to be a side salad size.
Oh, perfect.
Like the half carrot, the Chantenay or the Danvers half long. Because carrots are finicky, as we know. So since they're such long roots and you're putting them in a container, get a half size. And there's a lot of almost every single vegetable almost has now have a container variety.
The only thing I think that would be tricky to do in a container would be large melons or pumpkins or squash.
I think that might be, I think that pumpkins, for example, how gigantic they get, I think that might be almost impossible. You'd have to have like a swimming pool.
Yeah.
Fill up your swimming pool with, you know.
Or corn might be hard.
I think that you're right. I think corn would be really hard because it gets so tall. It would just topple over.
But really, anything else, just try to get a variety that will work well in small space. It'll say, works well in small spaces or works well in containers. Look for that language.
And just like you said with herbs and flowers, group plants with similar needs for sun and water. So you could put pole beans, radishes, and lettuce together. You could put cucumber, bush beans, and beets together. Tomato goes with basil and onions. And don't forget, if you get a nice sized pot, you can stake your vegetables as well. You could stake the beans to go up, and then you could put something around the outside.
Oh, love it.
Isn't that nice? Just like your idea with the flowers, kind of, you know?
If you had a little balcony and your patio, think how great that would be.
Oh, that would be wonderful. Yes. Yes, it would.
Hey, the old woman here. No longer living in a shoe, still married to Jack Sprat and keeping my garden alive. I am very proud of my garden. I thought to myself, I have grown vegetables, fruits, and herbs. I feed them to my kids and they have calmed down. Way down. I'm even thinking about maybe eating a vegetable. Then I thought to myself, I'm like super old woman. I can do anything. I'm going to quit smoking. 'Cause you know what I noticed lately? I'd light up and people would look at me in a disgusted sort of way. Say it was stinky. Very disrespectful. I mean, if I had a heroin addiction, at least I'd get some sympathy. Quitting smoking makes you chippy. I'll tell you that. My neighbor, Mary Quite Contrary, comes over and she says, "What'd you do with your kids? I haven't heard any high-pitched screaming or butt sauce or heavy objects falling in your house for weeks." So I says, all proud-like, "They're eating the food I'm growing right here in the garden. It seems to have calmed them down." And Mary, 'cause she's always contrary. Maybe because everyone's always says her name twice. Same name twice, Mary. I don't even have a name. Do you hear me complaining? Anyway, Mary says, all smug, "Fruits, vegetables? Where are the silver bells and cockle shells? Where are the pretty maids all in a row?" Well, I'm already feeling extremely salty because I haven't had a smoke in 2 days, and I really want one. So I says, "You're suggesting I grow pretty maids all in a row? Are you crazy? Do you not know about the birds and the bees? You don't grow babies in a row. They come from under a cabbage leaf." Her mind blown. Me? I pick a green bean and pretend to smoke it like a cigarette. See? I don't need pity. If I can live in a shoe for years with I don't even know how many kids, I can do anything. You know, this green bean is kind of delicious. Oh man, I don't even know who I am anymore.
Now we're going to talk about the types of containers that you can use for your container garden. So, for example, you can use terracotta.
Yes, that's what I use.
Yeah. You can use plastic.
Yep.
You can use grow bags. You can use, you know what? There's so many things that you can use.
Metal, wood.
Yeah. Barrels, half a barrel. Let's talk about the advantages to one over the other. Now, the two most common, I think, are terracotta and plastic.
Yes.
So what are the advantages, disadvantages of both?
I like the look of terracotta. I think it's nice to have all the pots look the same. They're not that expensive. So if you break them, it's no big deal.
They do definitely lose, they don't maintain the moisture.
That's right, because it
nearly
leaks right
as
through.
well as the plastic. So here's a recommendation, what you can do. You can either leave it in the pot you bought it in and put it inside a terracotta and a bigger one. And then around the edge between the two pots, put shredded newspaper.
Oh, that's a great idea.
And then you can, when you water, you can wet that too.
That's a great point.
Because you know how hot it gets.
Yeah.
I don't know where you are, folks, but where we get, it gets boiling hot in the summer.
And what's nice about plastic is that it is less expensive, but it'll break down.
It breaks down and it's lighter. It's
lighter, it's
cheaper.
nicer.
It does have advantages and disadvantages.
The disadvantage is that it looks like plastic.
Yeah, that is kind of, yeah.
And then the more expensive choices are like stone, all those beautiful, but they're so heavy.
What about hanging baskets? They're beautiful. Do you ever use a hanging basket?
Yes, I love them.
They are absolutely beautiful.
Do you fill yours with the coconut?
You know what? That's interesting that you say that. No, I don't. And where do you get that?
Oh, I think you could just get that at any garden center.
Yeah? Okay.
Yeah.
And that's what you use for soil?
I use that as the liner, and then you add soil in it.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
okay. Hanging baskets, you can also put herbs, cherry, tomatoes, strawberries in them.
That's so true.
Yeah, not just flowers.
Not just flowers.
There's, what about, you can use window boxes?
I heard somebody also using the old-fashioned metal garbage cans.
Why
and
not?
planting trees in them.
Oh, wow, why not?
Because they will age and have a nice patina, and they're like $25 at a hardware store.
Hey, speaking of patina, you know how some people like the terracotta to look aged?
Uh-huh.
You know how to do that. I read how to do that.
Is this with milk and...
Yogurt?
Yes.
It said put yogurt on it. Paint it with yogurt. Let it sit for a month in the shade, and it will encourage moss and beautiful stuff to grow on it.
That's so clever.
That is so clever, isn't it?
I've heard people who have taken shoe racks, cloth shoe racks,
Oh my gosh, I love that idea.
and then poke holes in it, and then plant things in it and hang it on a wall outside.
Oh, that's so beautiful. Yeah, every single thing has got to have the holes in it for
Yes.
drainage.
Anybody who tells you that it's just enough to put some gravel in the bottom for outside,
No,
it's not enough.
No.
It needs holes in the bottom to drain through, because otherwise you will drown the roots of your beautiful little plants.
Now here's another thing, and this, I don't know how new this is, but they're called grow bags.
Yeah.
And the thing about grow bags is they do what is called air pruning. So you know how when you plant in a pot and the roots start circling around?
Uh-huh.
What they do in the bags, these grow bags, is they air prune. In other words, when the root hits the side and the air hits it,
Uh-huh.
it kind of gets fried and it stops the root growth, and the growth goes into the plant itself.
That's amazing.
That's one of the big advantages to that. The other advantage is if you are a renter and have to move stuff, at the end of the season you wash it and it's a cloth bag.
It's made out of cloth. Is it like a jute?
It's all different kinds. People use Walmart bags.
Get out.
Yes, that's what I saw this whole thing on it. The ones that you can buy, this guy's name is Kevin Esperito, and I looked at his YouTube channel. His are made sometimes with the landscaping material, like really good stuff.
Okay.
But you don't have to have that. You can use the grocery grocery bags that we take, the cloth bags.
Yes.
You can use those.
Oh, I understand. Not the plastic bags that you get at Walmart.
No.
But the ones, the
Yes.
recycled, the ones you used when you bring your own bag.
Yes. Sorry.
Oh, that's
Yes.
cool.
Isn't that cool?
Want to talk about soil? Because the soil considerations are important for container gardening.
Yes.
You don't want to use your garden soil because it will have weeds and it'll be heavier.
Much too heavy.
You want something
Much, yeah.
light. So there's a couple options you have. Of course, one option is just to go to your local store and buy some potting soil.
Uh-huh.
Or you can make your own, right, Edith?
Yeah, you can, because if you only container garden, then what happens is it can get really expensive. I mean, you can, garden soil, just buying garden soil.
Yeah.
It can get...
Who
so
would have
here-
thought that soil would be so expensive?
So expensive. And part of the reason is the sphagnum moss, which is becoming a limited resource. Well, you can make your own potting soil, and it's much, much cheaper. Here is your recipe. You take 1 part peat moss. There really is no, that's all I know. 1 part peat moss, 1 part topsoil or garden soil, and 1 part steer manure.
Okay.
Okay, that's what this recipe said, steer manure. I personally don't know what would be wrong with sheep or chicken, but they said steer manure. So you can get like a tarp on the ground, wet the peat moss because it's so light and it'll fly away. And you just simply, like you're making bread, you just kind of knead it all together.
That sounds fun.
Doesn't that sound fun?
It does sound fun.
And when it's done, you can add a couple handfuls of compost if you have it. You can put in some 555 fertilizer. Not anything higher than that. 555 means 5% nitrogen, 5% phosphorus, 5% potassium.
And this is that slow release kind?
And yes, slow release kind. And you can make your own. I mean, it'll save you so much money if you are a major container gardener, which, like those grow bags, they can come in 100-gallon.
Oh,
so
my
it's like
goodness.
a raised bed.
It is like a raised bed.
Yes, that you can take with you.
Wow.
If your landlord won't let you have a raised bed.
Wow.
And that's how you make your soil.
What about watering? What special considerations do people need to have when how they water differently for a container garden than they would if they have their a raised bed or if they're gardening in the earth?
Don't you think they need to be watered a lot more?
Yes.
And checked on a lot.
Yes.
Right.
Now, I've used some of that soil moist before. Have you ever used that?
No.
So this is that little hydro gel that you can get, and they're clear crystals that are about the size of a grain of salt, and you can work it into your potting mix, and they absorb and hold up like 300 to 600 times their weight in water.
Oh, okay.
And I've heard some mixed things about it, though. Some folks say that the amount of water retention you're going to get doesn't make that big a difference. And some folks say, well, it can help rescue plants if you should have been out there every day and you miss a day. But sometimes for container gardening, you have to be out there every day to water things.
You know what else you can do, though? You know how terracotta wicks moisture away? Before you put them in there, soak the terracotta completely underwater for a day.
A day?
For 24 hours. Soak them.
That's a great idea.
Isn't that a great idea?
I've done maybe half hour.
Yeah, well.
A day.
Yeah, a day.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
But what's also nice too is that if they're not too heavy, you can also move things around too if things get too hot. But keep an eye on it. I've also heard ice cubes are really great, especially for hanging plants. If you have to go up and you just throw like 6 or so ice cubes, they'll slowly melt.
Nice. And if you have a big pot, why not mulch it a little bit?
Exactly. Right? When in doubt,
mulch it. You got it. That's right.
Yeah, I think people underestimate how much water they need, and they can also underestimate how much sun they need too. Yes. When you think about location, a lot of things are going to need 6 hours of sun.
Yeah, which is 6 hours is the minimum. If they say full sun, 6 hours is your minimum.
Yes.
And in a little pot, remember, it gets really hot. Like some people have black pots. Remember, that's even going to be hotter.
That's such a great point. If you have a metal pot,
so hot.
That's going to be hotter. And group things together so that sun dwellers are together and shade dwellers are together. So check your labels to make sure that they could be in the right area.
Good, Christy.
Don't forget to feed. You already mentioned feeding a little bit, and you can do the slow release feeders, or you could do a liquid fertilizer. That's usually what I do. Plants that are in pots need a lot of. They're hungry because a lot of it will leak through. And if you are worried about blossom end rot on your tomatoes and you're in a container, it's probably because they're hungry.
Also, don't forget, this is helpful. If you have them in a container, put them on a brick or something. Let the air get underneath them.
Great point.
So that, that's just good for them.
Yes.
They don't get as hot and crampy.
What about when you go on vacation? You can't. You can never know.
No, I can't, because people know how to do these things with, I don't know, with straws and tubes and stuff, and I don't. So I get a neighbor to do it. Help me out.
Get a neighbor. That's a perfect job for a high school kid.
And it is that too.
Isn't
That's
it?
Right.
Junior high kid. I've seen this thing too where you can, next to your container plants, if you take a long thing of paper towels
Yeah.
and twist it as tight as you can.
These are actual paper towels. You're twisting, you're
twist it,
twisting.
and a long piece, and so that it's a big wick. And then you lay it one end on your container, and the other end goes into a pot of water.
That's what I meant about the tubing. Yes.
Just use paper towels.
Oh, yeah, okay. I could do that.
And put that in there, and so that can help also. Also, when you go on vacation, it's a great time to prune your annuals. So if you've got pansies, petunias, or things that trail, and you're going to be gone for a week, it's a great time to cut them back so that they'll get a second flush of flowers, and
that's good.
they won't get all leggy.
That's good, Christy.
Did we contain it all, Edith?
I think we did. I was talking as fast as I could.
This topic has been contained.
Thank you, Christy.
Edith,
Yes,
you're sitting there.
I am.
You're excited.
I am so excited.
because you know what time it is.
It's mailbag time.
Ring, ring.
Yes.
This is a letter from our friend Chris in Denver. He writes, I'm writing to ask you a gardening question, which is good. I bet
Yeah.
he's off to a good start.
Yes, rather than a relationship question, which we would have difficulties with.
What do you think about galvanized raised garden beds? Also, if I were to build one out of galvanized tin, of which I have a large sheet I found in the alley, would the unfinished surface be detrimental to the plants? Isn't that a great question?
That's a great question, and I so love that he found it in the alley. Alley finds are the best.
That is great. Well, galvanized metal beds are becoming more popular all over the place. And I think it's because they're very durable,
Uh-huh.
they're sturdy, they're resistant to damage, and they can't rot like wood. They last forever.
Right, right.
They also look great because they evoke this sort of ranching or industrial vibe.
Uh-huh.
And they get a nice patina as the years go on.
Mm-hmm.
So they're really popular. And the short answer to his question about is it detrimental to the soil, the answer is that they are absolutely safe for gardening use.
Are there any disadvantages? Anything you should look
You know,
out for?
it can leak some small amounts of zinc. However, zinc is essential to plants and people.
I take zinc once in a while.
Yeah, it's in our vitamins.
Maybe I should just go lick a galvanized tin.
Right. I take it in a pill form in my multivitamin.
Uh-huh.
But it's a micronutrient and a normal part of soil. So it's totally fine. It's not harmful to plants, and you can grow things in it. A couple considerations, though, if you are using raised beds out of galvanized steel, is that the deeper they are, the more fill material you will need.
Okay. Isn't that true for any raised bed, though?
Yeah, but some of those galvanized ones can get pretty,
Oh, okay.
pretty like a couple feet deep. So just be aware of that.
Okay.
And, because they will conduct heat. So you might be concerned that it's too hot. The nice thing about it is that you'll be able to start planting a lot sooner.
That's right.
It'll warm things up. You just have to water consistently.
And if the other nice thing is, if we have a really bad hot spell, can't you just put them in shade?
Yeah.
You can just put supports up and
Yeah.
then put those shade things over. Any kind
Exactly.
of shade thing. Many, many lawn chairs.
Yeah.
That would look funny.
You could make your own like he wants to from his alley find.
Yeah.
You may want to just make sure that it's a good grade of galvanized steel. And sometimes if you're making them, they may require some wood as well. And wood has a shorter lifespan than zinc-coated steel does. So you may eventually need to replace some of the wood parts. And then also be careful of sharp edges.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you want to prevent potential injury. You may need to create a topper over the bare edges. So if you're going over there, you're not
that's
cutting
good.
yourself on
That's
your
good.
arms.
Yeah, like Christy and the thorns. Yeah.
Safety first is what we recommend.
There you go.
Well, folks, we would love for you to send us your gardening questions, your successes, your flops. Also, I love it when you find things in your garden. Mysterious treasures, coins, We love hearing from you.
Write to us at upsidedowntulips@gmail.com or at our website at upsidedowntulips.com, or check out our show notes.
And now it's time for our inspiration of the week.
This comes from Walt Whitman. I believe a leaf of grass is no less than the journey work of the stars.
That is a perfect sentence.
That is, oh my gosh, that's a perfect sentence. Beautiful.
Thank you, Walt Whitman.
Yeah.
And thanks, everybody, for listening with us today.
We are Edith Weiss and Christy Monter Larson.
And if you want some laughs and got some value out of this episode, could you do us a favor?
Go to your phone, click on that share button, and share the show on social or with a friend who might also appreciate it.
Special thanks to Denise Gentilini for composing and performing the Upside Down Tulips theme song.
You want to hear more of Denise's music? Go to denisegentilini.com or find the link on our website.
And a very special thanks to the one, the only, Billy McBride.
Join us next week for our tips and tricks on all things fruit.
Don't forget, if you make a mistake,
your garden will forgive you.
Upside down tulips.
And you're right, Edith. It is hard to say share button and share the show on social.
It is hard to say. It's like she sells seashells
by the seashore.
Oh.